Okay, thank you. Council, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Having 10 councillors, we will not have be excusing anyone from the meeting. I will move to item number 3, the adoption of the minutes. We have the minutes of the April 20th, 2023 meeting. How do you want to handle them? Adina, please.
I make a motion we adopt it.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion, minutes, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. The special council minutes 3.2. Right. We have item number 3.2, the special council minutes from Saturday morning. Kelly, please.
I will make a motion to approve those.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion, please indicate. That is carried. Moving on to call for, are there any post-agenda items? Seeing none, we have an agenda presented. How do you want to handle it? An approval of a motion to approve the agenda would be in order. Oh, Amanda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Question period. Are there any questions? We have one question. Please come and introduce your name, introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Mary Lou Bancy. I just had one question, and that is if the county or MCP or the council approves, I guess it's the MCP, so I might be in the wrong place, but anyways, approve something, let's say, and of course it has to go out public. And those property values are affected. I heard something about property values in the last meeting. Does the council, or is there a mechanism for the council to relook at the assessments for taxes for those properties which are now devalued?
Thanks for the question. I will defer to Matt, please, on that.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Residential property specifically is valued at market through a mass appraisal. That is completed each year. You get an updated assessment value. Your property is going to be impacted by sales of like properties in the region. So that database is kept live and up to date. And then on a 5-year cycle, our assessor actually gets boots on the grounds and comes snooping around your property to see if you've paved your driveway or had improvements, and updates the assessment that way. So any negative or positive impacts to property values that surrounding development would surface over time.
Sorry, so that would surface over 5 years. So you would be paying whatever taxes you were paying, whatever rate you were paying for 5 years after something went up that was like devalued your property. So.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, and potentially it might not surface for even longer, right? So if properties around a development don't sell, you won't have any updated market data to update the database with. So it could be even longer. Because the assessment system, especially for residential, is updated with actual sales of properties.
Oh, okay, so just one quick thing after it, same subject. Then is there a mechanism for the homeowner or the landowner to come to council and say, please reassess this because now it's not going to be sold for what I need to sell it for?
Matt?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Actually, each year as you receive your tax notice, the assessment notice is combined with that. And if a ratepayer doesn't agree with the assessment, they feel that it's too high or too low, we'll save you the trip. You don't have to come into council. Just call our assessor, Kevin Halstead, and he'd be happy to take a boo and update that.
Okay, thanks for your question. Our time is a little later than we thought. I know. Welcome to Glenda Farnden, representative of STARS, to give us an update on STARS. Welcome, and the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you. Is that on? Yes.
Yeah, lean right into that mic. It seems like you have to almost,
Okay.
it has to be in your face, kind of almost. You heard. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's my pleasure to see all of you again and to bring you your annual update and formally, once again, thank Newell County for continuing to be a supporter of STARS. First, I'd like to draw your attention to the bottom right-hand corner. After almost 38 years of serving Albertans, we are going through a bit of a rebrand. So you see just a little bit different logo there. As well, we are adding to our vision. Our vision has always been about saving lives. But now with the latest in technology and STARS being a leader in innovation, we're wanting to take that one step further and provide saving lives and providing critical care anywhere. So STARS is fueled by generosity. This includes Newell County. On the left-hand side now, last year, this is a bit of an update. Previously, we had a 10-year affiliation agreement with Alberta Health Services for 20% government funding. That expired in 2020 during the COVID years. Then we've been year to year since then at 20%. Last year, Alberta Health Services in the spring made an announcement that they would be looking to move to 50% government funding for STARS in Alberta, which would align them with what we were already receiving from Saskatchewan and Manitoba, even a higher amount in Manitoba. So I'm pleased to announce that at the very end of last year, we did receive the top-up that would move them to 50% government funding for 2022. We are currently in high-level discussions with Alberta Health Services in hopes of securing another 10-year affiliation, long-term agreement at 50%. So more yet to come at a future update as to whether or not that has been secured. So in the meantime, we don't know what we will be receiving for 2023, but hopeful for a 10-year affiliation agreement. On the right-hand side, our expenditures, now you'll see more than 80% are all aviation and medically related expenditures. The smaller pieces are the Emergency Link Center, which is the dispatch center for all of STARS operations across Western Canada, as well as our base administration costs. We remain for the 4th year in a row at 12%. So CRA allows charitable entities up to 35% administration costs. So we very much feel we are continuing to do our due diligence. I just want to clarify too, for the 50% government funding, that is 50% of operational costs only. So roughly $10 million per base. For 3 bases in Alberta is $30 million. So then the top up would equal to $15 million. Does not include the Emergency Link Center or education, any additional sources. So let's have a 5-year overview looking at statistics that happen within the County of Newell, including the critical transfers from the local hospitals. So it's important to understand that these are included because the majority of all critical interfacility transfers have occurred in the rural areas, and that patient has been taken to the local hospital by ground ambulance. And because it is of a critical nature, then STARS is called to come and get these patients and get them to tertiary care. So this gives you a solid overview of what's happening within the County of Newell. Already 9 missions to date as of April 30th this year. So within your boundaries. So on an overall average, yearly average, you would see approximately 32 missions per year in your area. Also, we are just now coming up onto summer, and summer is trauma season. And so we're trying to help everyone to remember to please be safe as you recreate and enjoy the summers. It's also important to know what's going on in your neighborhood. We all travel, we all go into neighboring municipalities. They come through County of Newell. So this gives you an idea that when we look at 169 total missions within your boundaries, starting to look at the exact same time frame, now that grows to over 600 missions flown within your areas, and any of these other areas will include County of Newell residents. This is information I'm very excited to bring to council. This is 10 years in the making. So let's look on the left-hand side to begin with. We were able to access data back to 2010. So this is utilizing patient postal code. No other information other than patient postal code. It does not include other patients that have also been flown, but we did not have their postal code. So it's not a true accuracy of all residents flown within your boundaries. So this includes all municipalities within County of Newell boundaries. There's been 288 residents that have been flown by STARS since 2010. But interestingly enough, on the right-hand side, the red dots that you see represent all the locations where these residents that lie within County of Newell boundaries, the 288 residents, where they were at the time they needed to be flown by STARS. So now you see that your residents and area have been flown by STARS from 5 different bases across 3 provinces, across 14 different Alberta municipalities. This really points to the fact that we all travel, commute. Injury and illness does not happen just because you're close to home. So our partnership, this is a testament to the fact that your residents and area all have access to STARS across Western Canada, where we have all 6 bases. And even more so, that we are all working together to ensure a robust health and safety network for all Albertans. So this is where we're at with our municipal supporters across Alberta and into northeastern BC as well. So everything that you see green in the rural municipalities is a current annual municipal supporter of STARS operations, just like yourselves. So we're very much starting to bring all of Alberta together in a united municipal effort. This ensures that every emergency option is available to these rural residents. We are also now starting to build the regional partnerships. So that means the towns and villages that lie within your boundaries, that they are also supporters of STARS. So in the southern area right now, Wheatland County is the only county that has complete support from all towns and villages as well as themselves within their boundaries. So we'll be working towards that, as a long-term project, which will really unite all of Alberta and provide that sustainable support that STARS so really significantly needs on an annual basis. We've just added 5 new rural municipalities as well as 5 more urban municipalities, all on either a fixed rate of support like yourselves or a per capita rate. Majority of towns, villages, and all rural municipalities are giving at a minimum $2 per capita rate. 45% of these are giving at a much higher rate, up to $90 per capita. Collectively, we are generating over $2 million per year in municipal support annually. In the red boxes, those are 9 municipal leaders that have reached logo status level and are represented on the STARS helicopter. We just recently, within the last few weeks, welcomed Sturgeon County as the first county in central Alberta to receive logo recognition, and we will be looking to the summer, hopefully to have a logo unveiling for the little tiny rural municipality of Birch Hills County that have been also contributing for many, many years and have reached logo status. The Emergency Link Center is located in Calgary. It has receives over 36,000 emergency requests every year, approximately 100 per day. And of course, we don't fly on 100 missions, but we are very integrally connected to 911 dispatch and all the dispatch systems throughout Alberta. So we also work very closely with all of oil and gas. We have more than 4,000 registered sites now. We're able to have access to every emergency resource in order to ensure that the best the closest and the best possible resource is available to reach the patient while we may be integrating other resources as well. We have access to, you know, on a industry site, for example, that there may be a paramedic 1 kilometer down the road that we can send them in order to at least get some care for the patient at the time while other resources are en route. And now when I presented last year the pilot project about our transport physicians also being in the Emergency Link Center, that is now in place. The STARS transport physicians provide medical oversight on every critical call, regardless of the mode of transport. Also, last year I brought you some information about the new fleet. I'm pleased to say that in October of last year, we received the 10th and final helicopter, so the fleet is complete. It outperforms the previous model in speed, range, and fuel efficiency, still has the powerful twin engines, which is required in order to land at hospital helipads. Also, the unique fenestron tail, the enclosed tail for an additional safety feature and not having to deal with that exposed tail rotor now. In addition, with this fleet, we have also been selling off our previous BK-117s. So there's 2 left now. One that we are working with a potential buyer, and one that is the very first original BK-117 for STARS, and we're working with a donor in order to hopefully have it placed in the Aviation Museum. We are coming up on 40 years of service. We feel that Albertans would appreciate being able to have that recognized in the museum. So fingers crossed. So in the meantime, though, all of the previous proceeds from the sale of the previous BK-117 helped us to complete the capital campaign, a more than $150 million capital campaign in less than 5 years. So all 10 helicopters are paid for. So as we move forward, you know, we're also last year, we acknowledged that we were the very first civilian organization in Canada to bring night vision goggle capability. And with that, you know, we're now celebrating more than 20 years, which has made a significant difference in many, many lives because 50% of our calls occur at night. So, of course, we have the latest in technology now with the new helicopters, but it's also important about the back of the helicopter. The new helicopters are all equipped exactly the same. They are an intensive care unit environment. So I wanted to give you just a sneak peek into some of the specialized equipment that we have in the back, starting with the handheld iStat lab. Now you can see it's just the size of a cell phone, but it can provide vital test results with only a couple of drops of blood in less than 2 minutes while we're airborne in the air with the patient for hemoglobin, blood gases, and electrolytes. These are all vital test results that are required when you're running multiple pain management drugs for a trauma patient. The Hamilton T1 ventilator is the same as what you'd find in the intensive care units at the hospital, but it's especially made for transport systems. And better yet, it accommodates all sizes of patients, adult, pediatric, and neonatal. We never know on each mission that we're called for what size of patient that we are going to be dealing with. We always carry 2 units of universal blood on board. We're very proud to be the innovator, a leader in innovation, that we were the first HEMS program in North America to bring this life-saving measure on board the helicopter. It has changed the advancement in care for trauma patients, and it has literally been the difference between life and death. Video laryngoscope. Now you can see our crews can actually view the trachea right on the video screen. This is important when they are dealing with difficult airway management for such as a trauma patient, possibly a burn victim, maybe someone that's been crushed on impact. You can just imagine how vital it is to be able to intubate effectively immediately for someone that can no longer breathe for themselves. the EZ-IO drill. Now, this is a piece of equipment that we've had over a number of years, but they keep perfecting it. And you'd be amazed at how many times we actually have to utilize this. It's only used in time-sensitive, life-threatening cases when we must have immediate IV access. So it enables our crew, it's just a tiny little handheld drill, to drill a little hole into a shoulder bone or a leg bone and be able to start immediate stabilization and pain management with an effective immediate IV. Handheld ultrasound. Now this provides test results for the rapid diagnosis of collapsed lungs, internal bleeding, heart abnormalities, even fetal compromise in ill or injured pregnant mothers. And now with the way the brand new helicopters are equipped with integrated Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and satellite connectivity, we are now able to transmit in real time the test results to the doctors at the receiving hospital, so that while we're en route, the receiving doctors can be expediting their treatment plans. So as soon as the patient arrives, they may go immediately into neurosurgery or cardiac cath lab, whatever, because we also have the transport physicians in the link center, also in the background, making all of the logistical arrangements for a critical patient. We always carry a plethora of pain management drugs, including the thrombolytics, for a stroke or a query stroke patient. So we have agreements with all hospitals across Western Canada that are on the stroke protocol, so that again, our transport physicians can alert that hospital that we are en route with a query stroke patient, so that they can be ready, because it is mandatory that the stroke or query stroke patient must have a CAT scan in order to identify whether or not it is the proper type of stroke that warrants the thrombolytic drugs. So that is also time saving once again. 25% of our calls, the transport physician will also attend with our crew. This is mainly when a rural hospital is dealing with a very sick or septic patient, so that we can have that physician-to-physician consultation. And so we also carry the physician's kit with central venous catheterization lines and even a temporary pacemaker for insertion for a patient that may need stabilization while en route to the cardiac cath lab. So this is just a small example of some of the really highly specialized equipment in the back of the helicopter. At the same time, you have the latest and greatest in specialized equipment. You have this wonderful new technology in the helicopters, but it also means that you must have the highest level of critical care expertise in your crew. So I'm very proud to bring you this information. This was at the end of last year as well. There is an Air Medical Transport Conference simulation competition. This is worldwide, and each year STARS has our own internal competition to allow only one team of two over all of our crew members to have the honor to represent STARS internationally each year at this particular simulation competition. It's a very rigorous, they basically throw the book at them, at everything, multiple, managing multiple patients with multiple different scenarios. Like it's quite incredible if you were to ever be able to witness it. STARS has participated in this conference with our team of two once every year, for 20 years now. And internationally, STARS has placed in the top 3 all 20 years. Last year, our crew that you see here, Kevin Easton and Chris Fay, are from our Saskatoon base. They won the internal competition and represented STARS, and they won first place. We're very, very proud of them. And this marks the 7th time in those 20 years that STARS has also won first place internationally. We very much feel that we are bringing your residents the highest level of critical care available in Alberta. So in closing, I'd like to say thank you, County of Newell. I want to thank you for your leadership. You've been with us for more than 30 years. I want to thank you for your dedication to STARS, and I want to thank you for your support. Your previous pledge of support has always been maintained at a $2 per capita rate and on a standing motion, meaning that we are a line item in your budget each year, and we very much appreciate that you are one of the municipal leaders across Alberta that also include us in your budget each year so that we're not lost or forgotten. Our request is for your kind consideration to move to a fixed rate of support. So we're asking that many of the municipalities, especially over the last couple of years, have moved to a fixed rate of support in order to alleviate fluctuation in census that's really changing the face of what we know we can count on each year. We've had a lot of municipalities that have had decreased census, and it's really affected, although we have increased mission rate each year, we have increased fuel costs, increased medical supply costs, like it's never ending. And, you know, we've been for the last couple of years averaging 10 missions per day. Now we are seeing 12 and 14 missions. It's even reflected in your statistics as well, that there is a higher mission rate happening. The average 32 missions per year that occur within your county would represent approximately $250,000 in mission costs only per year for your residents and your area. So we kindly ask if you would consider to move to a fixed rate of support. So we're asking for your consideration of $25,000 per year and to maintain on a standing motion, which allows you to know what's going to be in your budget, what you have to work with, but also lets us know what we can count on as the mission rates continue to increase. A life is saved literally every day, but it's partnership that has always made this possible for 38 years. So we thank you for your partnership.
Thank you very much for your presentation this morning. Council, any questions? Follow? Holly, go ahead, please.
Good morning, or good afternoon, actually. On the ones that were in the county of Newell, do you know how many were inter-facility transfers, like critical ones, and how many were actually at the scene?
No, because they're coded, like if it's at the scene, they're coded that way to the nearest community. If it's an interfacility transfer, then we don't have that data of whether or not, you know, what area it was brought from. But I can confirm that the majority are always from rural scenes that, you know, local ground ambulance was able to get to them first and bring them to the hospital. But because it is critical, then STARS is called.
Thank you. Dan, please go ahead.
Do you guys approach the city of Brooks and request funding support from them as well?
The city of Brooks is on my radar for this year. Yes, I want to start to, you have to understand there's only one of me that is working the whole province, right? So we've been building this. I've been doing this for 17 years now. I was hopeful to have my new colleague that's just been hired out of Southern Alberta. He lives in Lethbridge, but he had to be at a different meeting today. So I'll be bringing him with me next year, that he will be taking over, bringing you annual updates each year, so that I can further get to cities and towns throughout the area that are not on board, you know, and he'll be more maintaining those that are on board and also making some new asks as well. So it'll be a joint effort in Southern Alberta. So.
Thank you. Holly, go ahead.
So a follow-up to that question. So are we in the county of Newell, our area, is it only the county of Newell who supports STARS? Like, do any of the towns, the villages, the city of Brooks doesn't support?
Not yet, but again, it's because I just haven't been able to get to them, you know, but this throughout Southern Alberta now is an area, because I am from Northern Alberta. So you'll see on the map, if we went to it, oh, maybe I didn't do that right. So the majority of all of northern Alberta, as I've spent probably 10 years concentrating on that particular area, there's almost unanimous support. There's maybe 2 places left in the entire north that is not city or town that's not also supported with their county. Starting to work on different areas through central Alberta. And as I said, Wheatland County, they invited me to a regional meeting that happens quarterly, where I was able to touch base with all mayors and reeves throughout their area. And that's how that started. And then I was invited to go to each one of them. So that's why they have united support. So any ways that you can help me as far as to have the opportunity to be in front of areas within your area, or even just on a recommendation, or that you feel that they should maybe have this same information provided to their councils, I would greatly appreciate.
Thank you. Lynette, please go ahead.
On there you have logo recognition. How much do you have to contribute to be a logo?
Okay, good question. So municipalities are measured on a different level of support than, let's say, corporate, for example. Corporate has to be upfront, one ball of wax. It's $500,000 for a logo. And so with municipalities, though, it's collective over the years. So all of your contributions over the last 30 years are included. You are currently at $267,000. So once you approach reach the, and as we continue to grow and the mission rate increases, of course, in future years, I'll be asking you for an increase as well, just to help us to offset some of those costs. The current ask that I'm asking you now would be representative of approximately 3 missions in your area out of that annual average of 32 missions per year, to give you, some insight on that. So that's kind of where it's at, but you're more than halfway there. That's right.
Okay. Thanks. Holly, go ahead. Thank you.
So when a call comes into dispatch, is it decided if whether Halo picks it up or Stars, or how is that determined who would go?
Okay, well, whether or not local resources have called Stars directly, or they've gone through 911 dispatch, either way, we each notify the other, bring the call in too. So that way 911's on board with all the resources, and so is Stars. If it is of, certain card set, they'll ask you some questions, right? Certain things are an immediate determinant that it is a Stars launch. If it's like a head-on collision, someone's been ejected from the vehicle, certain different criteria points immediately to a Stars launch. So otherwise, when your local resources would call Stars, or either way, right? If it's not determined, then that's when the transport physician is also included on the call as well, in order to help make the determining factors for condition of the patient, whether it possibly is critical enough. We also, for example, Halo, we dispatch Halo. So if Halo is more co-located to the patient, even though Stars may be also coming, it makes sense to dispatch Halo in order to get that patient into a hospital environment. And then Stars is also en route to get that patient from the hospital. And then that's also coordinating the doctors in the hospital, along with our transport physicians, to make determining factors and, determine what is the proper receiving hospital as well in many cases in Calgary. So there's lots going on in the background.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Glenda, for your presentation this morning and for coming, and we'll see you again. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I appreciate it so much. I brought you a new calendar and the latest newsletter. We're just like, this is available to have a look online as well. So it's stars.ca. The back page, Stars in almost 38 years flew its record mission. And this was for a patient that was in a very isolated area way up in the north. There was no other resource to reach this patient. This patient needed blood. This patient needed the critical care environment in the helicopter. It's pretty amazing. And this patient now has actually reached out to us, had a base tour at the Grand Prairie base, and is willing to help us. So they said that if you were to fly this mission in a straight line, it would be equivalent from Calgary to Los Angeles.
Wow.
So again, you know, it's resources, it's using everyone, it's the emergency link center, being able to coordinate where all, even into Alaska, we were able to stop to get fuel in order to get the patient back to the tertiary care. There's lots of factors there, and it's a group effort, right? And we're always so grateful to our emergency responders, especially yours in your area as well. We work quite a bit with them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in. Council, I'm going to suggest we break for lunch, reconvene close to 1 o'clock. Welcome, Mr. Todd Green, for ASB update.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Pardon me, you have to use your microphone, Councillor Chrisman. All right, well, thank you for having me here today. Just a quick informal report for everybody, because it is the season and we are right into it. So the crew has been rocking down at Emerson, getting all the final stages from our construction last year tidied up. And I have not been down there, but I do intend to go down there on Saturday for a good meal. So I'm excited to see what it looks like, but it sounds like all the irrigation that we put in is working spot on. The septic system is working good, and all the water. So hey, we're rocking. We're excited to have guests. We have started weed inspecting. The crew's been out, obviously in some of our urban partners, but also in the county. So taking care of some of that. And we're kind of an all-in-one crew, so we're doing weed inspecting at the same time as we're doing spraying. So when weed inspecting starts, spraying starts. The other side of the crew went and did a bunch of hamlet cleanup. So when we do our mowing jobs, it's always nice to make sure we have all the garbage picked up first, so they kind of traverse all the back alleys and fence lines and everything, and clean up the garbage and the big tumbleweeds and everything that's going to make a mess when we do go mow. And I do believe we have started mowing in hamlets as well. Lake Newell Resort is a wonderful hamlet, and they have an underground irrigation system that they manage and maintain in their municipal reserves, or our municipal reserves, I guess. So it requires quite a bit of extra mowing. And some of the problems with that is we don't always get there when we maybe should, and we end up with a lot of litter. So we actually, last spring and this spring, we rented like a big motorized lawn sweep. It's an amazing thing, and it kind of cleans up all that litter and gives us a little extra breathing room sometimes when we get a little bit farther behind. So they were out there, did that this week, just in case anybody's seen them. Drills have been going crazy, as is customary this time of year. We always, as soon as everybody starts, I need the drill, it pushes things way back. We really wish that everybody could split their time up properly. That's a joke. It's a joke, of course, because everybody always needs it from about the 9th to the 15th of May. So it's always nice when we can get some additional weather in the front or in the back, And of course, the really fun thing that we did last week was our Know Your Food Ag Day with partnership with Grasslands. Just some of the basic highlights: we invited 800 kids, we invited 5,000 kids. We were able to welcome 800 kids. They all had the opportunity to go through 10 different stations. I was surprised by the amazing questions that came out of some of these kids. I was surprised at how much they knew, even the kids that I would not expect to know much. And some of them told me about where they were from and how they did agriculture there. And I had an opportunity to learn some stuff as well. So it was a really amazing 3 days. Kudos to Principal Screever from Alcoma for doing the massive amount of organizing on the school kids and the busing, because that's a world that I don't live in. But yeah, she was amazing to work with, and we were happy. So yeah, I think all in all, if the teacher representatives that were there report back to their principals and the board that they want to do it again, I think we would change some things, time of year, maybe the location, but I think it was a hit. So that's about all I have for you today.
Thank you, Todd. Any questions? Holly, please, and then Kelly.
So I know the Know Your Food trailer didn't actually make it. So is there interest in having it come a different time then? And as well with that, I thought this was more geared toward junior high students because the outside in the field is geared towards grade 4. Is that correct? Is that, because I know the rural schools bring everybody, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it was the actual Know Your Food trailer. It did not make it, so some minor hiccups. But Ag for Life kind of came to the table, and they brought some of their other interactive things that they would have in that trailer. So they had 2 or 3 stations set up where they had kind of farm simulator. They had the grain station. So they brought a lot of the things that would be in the Know Your Food trailer, and we just had them in tents. So hiccups happen. And that trailer and the rural safety trailer for Ag for Life are very much geared towards junior high. It's kind of the curiosity level and the time where everybody gets a little bit maybe more active in the rural setting, and they can read and do things on their own. So I think that's kind of why that's maybe targeted towards junior high. But the younger kids, they still got to walk through of all those things. It was just a little more, the information was pushed a little harder than if they were able to pull it themselves.
But the majority of kids were junior high age. I was just curious that their age. No?
No, I would say it'd probably be about 40 to 50% younger than junior high, probably another 30 to 40 in junior high, and then the rest, they're made up of high school students.
Holly, please.
Just a question about the access road going into Emerson Bridge Park. Starting to fall apart up top. Is that ours or theirs?
Who's theirs?
Alberta Transportation.
It does sit on Alberta Transportation right of way, or managed right of way, but it is our access road. We spent a significant amount of money not too many years ago on that access road. Surprised it's falling apart already.
I voted against that motion.
I'm confident you did, Kelly. You never support Emerson Bridge.
I never do. No. Okay. Thank you.
We'll take a look at it again.
So, yeah, we'll just have to keep our eye on it, hey, because hate to see it. It's the first thing you see when you access the park. So.
We like to lower your expectations on the way in and then blow them out of the water once you're staying.
Okay. Get pretty good speed up down that hill on a bike, I'll tell you. Thanks. Todd, any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you for your report. With that, we will move on to item number 9, administrative business, the Newell Pro Rodeo Pancake Breakfast. Ariana, please.
Thank you. All right, same as last year. This is the annual joint pancake breakfast hosted by the city and the county. They do all the arrangements. I am looking for a motion approving that we cover 50% of the costs, which last year was just over $1,000 each. And they are looking for volunteers. So the event is being held on June 9th at 7 a.m. So you're expected to show up around 6 to start mixing batter and preparing. Yeah, that's it. If there's any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions? We have a recommendation. Go ahead, Kelly.
So I'm just going to throw this out there. We have another pro rodeo in our area this year. Are we willing to do a pancake breakfast out there as well? And maybe share the costs out there?
In Bassano.
Yeah, June 23rd 23rd, 24th, and 25th, so the breakfast would be June 24th. I'm just throwing it out there. It's a pro rodeo, and we have never as a county done anything out there.
I would, that's another issue, but let's deal with this and then we can certainly deal with that. Thank you, Kelly. So we have a recommendation. Is anyone prepared to make a motion? Mr. Greg.
I'll make that motion for the 50% participation.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Welcome, Flip Pancakes, Ariana. Okay, thank you.
Maybe I'll
Kelly.
just send an email.
Kelly, does Bassano host a pancake breakfast?
We did last year, the Ladies of the Royal Purple did in the Elks Hall. The Elks Hall is no longer available for public usage, so we do not have a pancake breakfast presently slated. It would be more than welcome, though.
Well, I'm thinking out loud. You and I are attending a meeting in Bassano this evening that will also be attended by members from the town of Bassano.
Yes, but the town doesn't do the rodeo. The town, but we could ask if they would come in with us. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I'm thinking.
I
If we're
see.
going to do it, I would suggest that it would be a joint project.
Sure.
And I'm guessing that they might be interested, but I don't know that. This is the first I've heard or thought about that. So I'd be at your direction or whatever you think. Neil, did you have your hand up?
We have other pro rodeos too, like at Silver Sage, Patricia Rodeo. Well, it doesn't matter if it's pro, it's they eat pancakes the same. Do we do them all, or?
Have you been there? That's a good point. What's your feeling or direction? Lynette, please.
Well, I know at the Patricia Rodeo, that's part of their fundraiser is they sell pancakes, right? Especially Sunday morning, there's a pancake breakfast there, but it's a
Fundraiser,
right?
Okay.
So
Adina, please.
Well, I'm kind of thinking, along the lines, Coma School asked us if we'd come out this summer for their celebration of their 100 year. I think if somebody's interested in having us come out and flip pancakes, they could ask us and then we'll look at it. But
Okay, thank you. I think, we did have a discussion about this in our strategic planning session where we talked about, are there things that we want to do in communities? Certainly they have to be timed when people want to do things if we want to do that. So I guess whatever our direction is. Kelly, do you have a direction for us or any?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that if Town of Bassano wants to partner on a pancake breakfast for June 24th, Saturday morning, that we would be a partner on that event.
Okay, thank you. Contingent on the Town of Bassano being a partner. Yeah, so it's a discussion that would be, yeah, good. Further discussion. And again, I think these are volunteer activities. People can attend if it works for them. It doesn't have to be a coercion type of thing in terms of, people don't have to attend. It's a matter of availability. Any further thoughts? Amanda, please.
I just need confirmation. When are we doing the El Como one? Is that the 24th or the 25th? Sunday morning. Oh, is that Sunday morning? Okay.
June 25th? Yeah. Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. Ready for the question? All in favor? Oh, the motion is that we partner with the Town of Bassano for a pancake breakfast in Bassano in conjunction with their pro rodeo on June the 24th, I believe. And again, note the wording, it's contingent on the Town of Bassano being interested in partnering on it. same as Brooks, right? 50-50. Okay. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Moving on, meeting with Grasslands School, call for agenda items. Matt, please.
Yeah, so I won't spend too much time on this, and you don't have to have all the agenda items figured out today, but be forewarned, agenda cutoff will be June 2nd. So if there's things you would like added to the agenda, we can take those now, or you can send those to Ariana by email. But your deadline is June 2nd.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Holly, please.
Ag education, of course.
Right, got that? Okay. Kelly, please.
Can we have a conversation, and whether it's at that meeting or at our CAL meeting, I would like to talk about level of service around road maintenance. So right now it's 21 days whether the road is driven on or not. So you compare that to a heavy use gravel road, the road condition is considerably different than on a road that is not traveled. So I would like to have a conversation with staff about maybe coating the roads or something like that. The dam road is heavy use, and there are 3 different ways to access the dam, as compared to South Road that only has maybe 3 roads on it. So I don't know where you want to have that, Matt, but I would love to have that conversation again.
No, Grasslands.
Oh, are we talking Grasslands?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Can that be no.
I'm talking agenda.
Can that be a post agenda item?
Okay.
I think that.
Okay. Nobody even gave me a question mark on their face. No, I couldn't. All right. I apologize.
Card game, but no, poker, right? Anyway, no, okay, and Matt's suggesting that we put that to our next meeting so that staff has an opportunity to prepare for it. Okay, no, that's fine. We're getting there. Okay, Dan, please.
Maybe for this Grasslands meeting, areas of importance to make our communities more attractive to newcomers. I know they have issues attracting teachers to this area, so wondering if they've got any ideas that we can take on to make this area better and more attractive.
Okay, thank you. And we have another meeting coming up before we're going to meet with Grasslands, so if there's anything else that you don't think about, as Matt indicated, let Ariana know, and we can field those at our next meeting as well. Moving on to item number 9.3, Councillor payment sheets. Who's reporting on that? Dan?
Yeah, nothing really to report. If you've looked at the changes we made, whether you agree or disagree, if I've done something wrong, let me know and we'll make it right. But I think we got it right.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to accept the councillor payment sheets? Amanda, please.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Requests for functions of council. Holly, go ahead, please.
I am just wondering about the Medicine Hat College convocation. I cannot go, but if anyone wants to go, if that would be a function of council. Or if somebody probably should go, who maybe would like to go.
I assume we all got the same invitation, is that right? Mm-hmm. I'm not able to be there that day also. Is there someone who would be interested and can make it? No. You can attend that?
You will be in consort that day. Yeah, you'll be in consort. It's a rodeo breakfast that day. Because remember, Muhammad, Last year,
Same issue.
Mohammed did pancakes and went home, showered, and wore a suit to the convocation. He told me to clean up.
Okay. And you making a motion that that be a function of council, Holly?
I make a motion that attending the Medicine Hat convocation would be a function of council.
Okay, all in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Holly, please. Sorry.
The other one is it's a function of council issue for discussion, perhaps. We keep getting emails about the Bow River Basin Council, which I'm just wondering if we should be involved in that because it is our watershed. I don't know if that's like strategically, if you should have somebody on there to protect our water. It's not something that I would have time for, but I'm wondering if it piques somebody else's interest to be part of that.
Neil and then Kelly. Thanks, Holly.
Yeah, good eye, Holly. That we got to be involved anywhere that has anything to do with water, irrigation. It's our lifeblood around this part of the world. So yeah, I think we should be on there. Yeah, just to know what's going on and to support our irrigation district who is on there.
Good point, Kelly.
So we did have a representative there and we pulled back at the last editing of committees. The representative that we sent said that we are a member and that's why we continue to get the news and the minutes. He said that it's ran by biologists and scientists and the elected officials are just there learning. It's not an operational board. You go there and you receive information only. So that's why he recommended that we continue to be a member without attending the meetings.
Okay.
I just wanted to give you that information.
Yeah, that's good background to have. I knew that we did pull back from there. I guess that would be an opinion, right? Based on the, yeah, and the way you choose to participate. I mean, it isn't a decision-making board. We know that, but it is correct. I mean, they don't make decisions, but they do have some influence with regard to the Bow River watershed for sure, right?
It's an elected board of biologists and scientists who speak in that term. So it's not one where elected officials are a part of the board, typically.
Oh, okay.
That's the point. That was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. Neil, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what I said before. I don't care who's on the board. If you don't show up, you really have no ability to complain or anything to complain about. But it's worth watching those kind of boards, and it's worth having our rep at the table.
Okay, I look for direction on that. If somebody wants to make a motion, I would, Matt, please.
Yeah, so if council's considering sending a representative to the Bow River group, also keep in mind there's a Red Deer River Municipal Users Group that the same decision was made to pull back from, and the Red Deer River Watershed Alliance. So if you're thinking about one, you might as well think about all of them.
Okay, yeah, that's a good consideration. Neil, you got another comment?
Yeah, that's a good point too. I know from the EID days, they were involved obviously on both of them. And just I'll make the motion that we approach both groups and send a rep to their meetings.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Lynette, please.
Maybe before we make that decision completely, we find out how long the meetings are, where they are, how much time commitment this would be for someone, and then revisit, just as a thought.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Okay.
Doesn't have to happen tomorrow. That's
yeah.
a good point.
So, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, and I believe, Ariana, correct me if I'm wrong, we've got that information handy, so we could bring that back to our next meeting for you.
Okay, well, it'll be an agenda item at our next meeting. Is that fair enough. We'll table the motion then, right?
Yep, that's fine.
How do we table motion? Do we have all in favor of tabling the motion? It's done. Okay. Thank you. Any other functions of council? I guess we were on. Go ahead, Lynette.
A question as to whether this was something that the council did do in the past. There's a Recycling Council of Alberta that's having a conference coming up in, I believe it's October, beginning of October. Is that normally, does anyone ever go to that one from this council?
Matt, do you have information on that?
I'm trying to remember if we rolled that one into the pre-approved list of conferences.
You're on the Recycling Association, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Holly, and then Dan.
If I remember correctly, Neil, you were on that committee, right? And we approved that you could go, but you didn't want to go. I felt like last year for that one, right?
Which one's that?
The recycling one.
I didn't want to be on the board anymore, but.
No, but you had the chance to go to that conference. You didn't want to go, if I remember right.
Yeah,
And nobody
that's
else
right.
did either.
That's right, but it's a good conference. Ray Jessica has been to it several times. I just wasn't interested in recycling at that point in my life.
Okay, thank you. So that'll come back to us too. I think that's good information at our next meeting. Dan, please.
I was going to ask Lynette if you saw value in the conference, and would it be worth attending? And if it was, then I would motion to make it a function of council.
I've never been, so I don't know.
I'm going to suggest that we are getting more information on that, and we deal with that at our next meeting. I'm in favor of your direction. I just we can deal with it when we have more information. Matt, please.
Yeah, and I do have the councillor compensation and expense policy up in front of me. So we did include the Alberta CARE conference as a standing one to attend. What was the name of this second one? Yeah, so if Councillor Lynette would like to entertain that, she could request to attend as a function of council, and that could be supported out of the professional development budget that we've allocated for each councillor.
Okay. We'll deal with it next time. Greg, please.
Yeah, there is a Alberta air tour coming to the airport on June 3rd, this Saturday. And Joint Services has been asked, members of Joint Services have been asked to come out and support that and maybe volunteer, representing Joint Services in our council. So I'm wondering if that could be a function of council or not.
Are you?
Didn't we already approve Dan to go to that one? We talked about this with you. We already gave you permission to, as a function of council, right? Yeah, we did that with Dan.
But I'm going as a representative of the airport commission, and this is separate. But yeah.
Yeah, Joint Services is serving the breakfast. I think that was the issue. Neil. Neil?
Yeah, I think it should be a function of council because they actually wanted volunteers to marshal planes and flip pancakes and just partake in the whole thing. You're going because you represent us, but they need a lot more than just one rep from us. And it should be a function of council.
So doesn't flipping pancakes and marshalling planes across like skill?
That's the two issues that they have to do. They need people to marshal planes, get them all parked, and they need a pancake flipper. So,
Well,
I don't know how you do it.
yeah, the pancake flipping, the cadets are going to do the pancake flipping is what I've been told. We're going to be marshalling. But I mean, if it's not, it's not. That's fine. If it's on the same level as pancake, that's fine.
Doesn't matter to me. Yeah. Unless somebody has a motion, we'll just leave it. But
Forget it.
Okay, I forgot it.
You know, if it's a function of the committee that you are on, and there's a motion by that committee, does it not fall under that committee work?
Yes.
So to me, no motion is needed if you're a part of.
Yeah.
It'd be different if you were asking the rest of us to come, and we were asking for a function of council, but as a committee, you've made a motion or agreed to work this event. So I think it falls in line with that event.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Kelly, and would apply to Dan's presence there as well. So we've dealt with that but that's fine. I think that's a good thing to remember. Yeah. Okay, any other functions of council? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our municipal services business. Mr. Mark Harbright, welcome.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. What's the highlights of this month? Municipal government, Alberta government is changing e-ticketing for municipal enforcement activities. We've already been at the table with all of this, so we're good there. Just supervisors been attending weekly virtual sessions to keep things going and ready to go live with the changes that are rolled out. Animal control bylaw respondents that requested further engagement is complete. So we made it through, I think it was about 80 people wanted to be engaged on top of their survey response. We're completing the compiling of those responses, preparing a request for decision to come to your May 25th meeting of council. So I think it'll be a busy day that day. Municipal Enforcement Supervisor attended the annual general meeting for Rural Crime Watch. I wanted to bring this to your guys' attention because it is decisions of previous council again that you were just talking about with different boards and whatnot. The support for the local association was lacking, and our understanding is that they put forward a vote to dissolve, which was passed, and they're looking at their joining with the Southeast Alberta Rural Crime Watch Association. I'm not even going to give you that acronym behind that because that's wild. It's just about its own word. Crime Watch, safe communities, all those sorts of things, you know, like when one is formed, another one kind of, I don't know, gets parted out. So it didn't seem like there was much going on there. And from the municipal enforcement supervisor, it was expressed to him that, you know, they were kind of at a loss that nobody from county council was present for that meeting and stuff. But that was, again, a decision of council to step away from that previously, just so you're aware. On top of that, fleet services, you know, keeping up with our commercial vehicle inspection program. We've got 2 of our new graders in the yard. Challenging thing that we have is the other 4 sitting in Regina. And like so many other industries and places of work and whatnot, they are having trouble getting those 4 graders equipped and rolled out of their shop because they don't have the labor to do it. So they are backlogged in Regina. So we'll see them eventually. They're on Canadian soil at least, so that's the good news story there. We did take a crack at the RAP student program, so Fleet Services Registered Apprentice Program. The student, however, declined that opportunity due to the time of the year. They already had a commitment for summer work, and it just wasn't going to work within their school schedule to start in the May period and wind up having final exams and stuff. So that one fell apart. We'll try it again in the fall, but it's really student dependent. And it was advertised through Grasslands, through the Catholic school system and whatnot. We had 1 candidate. So we're trying with the students, we're trying the education, we're trying to work with it, but we will discuss it again in fall and see if there's an opportunity once school resumes and how that can work. Grader operators, I gave you a summary there of what all was completed through the winter season, where we're at with our now spring and summer grading rotation. We really didn't have a spring. We just kind of transitioned from winter into summer, truly. The dust is there, the washboard is there. Roads are still soft and more soft spots are showing up by the day. Yeah, we've had a couple of weeks of 30-degree weather or plus 20-degree weather. We're not out of that woodwork. So Grader operators are not doing deep cutting on roads. They are maintaining surfaces right now. That's what they can do. If they cut too deep, we're going to have a whole lot of soft roads out there. So maintaining a 2 to 3 inch crust that has been built up, we're going to continue doing that. We also have DK blading scheduled again here in late May. So he's the guy that's been coming in and training our grader operators, new techniques, other little tips and tricks. That's the one that's been saving us on our fuel economy and blade wear and stuff. So that's working really well. Continue on that. Truck drivers, again, summary of things, they're 82% complete the stockpile program, and that's with reduced quantities going into the Tilly stockpile because we want to haul direct from the Steveville pit. But really we're behind on that program just because winter was long and they were on the roads often with plow trucks. So, and what else do I want to talk about? Our seasonal laborers all started. We're thankful to have them back with us. One new hire this year, the other 3 are returning. So that's great. Street sweeping in the hamlets is a little bit delayed, but we've had the social media pushed out there and whatnot. So that is going on today, tomorrow, and Saturday. So that'll get that off the list for us. Jeff's been working diligently on the CNWP Phase 2 Contract 1. 85% of the construction is complete as of his report yesterday, 65% in this report when I prepared it. And still on track for the end of June getting that done. Contract 2, they've got approximately 85% of the easements signed with everybody, so that's coming along really well. And the rest of the tendering and construction timelines are advertised on the website and will be updated as need be. Jeff's got the Steveville gravel crush tender for you here later today. We've got the EID county partnership on drainage continuing in Rosemary. Nothing is kicked off there yet. EID got the water turned on. Their crews are busy running around getting their pipelines and things repaired so that irrigation can operate efficiently through summer. Kinbrook Connection Pathway Stage 2. That tender was advertised Friday, April 14th. We gave that a month-long advertisement period. Just the other day, we had to make a decision to extend it by 2 days. So an addendum has been issued and the cutoff is now, or extended by 3 days, sorry. Deadline is now May 18th. What has happened there is what we had in the plan from a year ago. The park benches are no longer available. So we had to go find a new supplier for that and give our contractor, our interested bidders, the opportunity to source that and get prices from those suppliers. So that is being done. We will have an RFD back to you on May 25th for a decision on how to proceed with that project. Additionally, I just want to give a shout out. There's other things in the report, but Peace Officer Safety Program, we had our audit. We got the official results the other day. There are no issues with what we're doing, and we're fully compliant with all acts, regulations, and the Peace Officer Program, just so you're aware and our ratepayers are aware. Also, I want to give a shout out to the EID. They provided their little irrigation update pamphlet thing that came across to our office. And in there is an article about sprinkling of roadways and citing the County of Newell bylaw on that. And that they're reminding irrigators that water that is not hitting the places that's supposed to is part of their annual allocation. So if you run short, that's on you. That's not on anybody else. So nice to see their support and getting our information out in their communications as well, because it is one of those things that, you know, can happen once or twice that the end gun doesn't shut off, but we do need some diligence on that to help our roads and stuff as well. So if there are any questions of council, I will do my absolute best to answer them for you.
Thank you, Mark. Are there questions? Seeing none. Thank you for your report, and I look for a motion to accept the report. Dan, please.
Yeah, I'll motion to accept that report.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you.
Next one before you, National Public Works Week. We always ask for a proclamation. This year, proclaiming May 21st through 27th as National Public Works Week, celebrating the tens of thousands of men and women in North America who provide and maintain infrastructure and services collectively known as public works. We've been doing this since 2014 with council. 2015, we actually went through the extent of hosting some very intense education events where we had probably just as many students attend our areas, what we just did for our Know Your Food event. We had coordination with Brooks Food Bank. They were cooking food and all sorts of things. Anyway, we won the national award for first time entry back in 2015. We haven't done a whole lot with that since. We get the week proclaimed, we get an advertisement out through social media, through the local newspaper, and we line our driveway with the National Public Works Week's banners that we've had done up. So 2023 National Public Works Week is, the theme is connecting the world through public works. And with that, it's just a matter of the thread that connects us all, no matter where we live in the world. Every public works professional strives to improve the quality of life for the community they serve, leading to healthier and happier communities. So if I could ask council for that, that would be great.
Okay, thanks, Mark. We need a motion to declare May 21st to 27th National Public Works Week in the County of Newell. Kelly, so moves. All in favor, please indicate. It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. We now move to item number, excuse me, 10.3, tender award for the Steveville gravel crush. Jeff, please.
Thank you very much. But before you have a request for decision to award a contract to Smith Trucking Service 1976 Limited for the 2023 gravel crush, stockpiling, and some other work at the Steveville pit. We publicly advertised the tender on the Alberta Purchasing Connection site, closing it May 4th at 2 o'clock. 2 bids were received on the tender, both companies which we have worked with previously. Like I mentioned, the recommended action is to award it to Smith Trucking Services 1976 Limited for their tendered amounts, and goes beyond that to allow administration to increase the quantities in the contract, and then I'll explain that here in a little while. We operate out of 3 gravel pits, Pisano, Ballast, and Steveville, and we're currently undertaking some gravel resource exploration, digging around in a few other locations in the county, looking to secure more resource for the future. Our aggregate use is governed by our aggregate management policy, and that is approved by council. The Steveville pit is subject to a mediation agreement from the 80s where we are required to produce and extract gravel only in the month of June. That is with some adjacent landowners, and it was an order sent down by the province. So we honor that, and we line up our crushing schedule to produce gravel at the Steveville pit only in the month of June. So the Steveville gravel pit is located along the banks of the Red Deer River at the southeast of 2212. We use the Steveville pit to complete annual graveling in divisions 3, 5, 8, and 10. And additionally, we haul to stockpiles and direct place gravel on roads in division 1 and 2 as well. Previously, we've crushed at Steveville in 2018, 2015, and 2012. Historically, about 3 years would be what we'd use up about 100 to 120,000 cubes of gravel in that pit. More recent, changes in our operation has seen more gravel being used out of the Ballast pit, where we have a more bountiful resource than the Steveville pit. So that's why this year we're coming back after 5 years of producing that gravel in the pit and trying to extend the useful life of the aggregate resource we have there. Included in this tender is the moving and redistribution of some subsoil and topsoil that was assumed to be placed on our target excavation area in the opening of the pit many moons ago. This material we're going to attempt to direct place a lot of it on exhausted areas of the pit, on slopes of the pit, and try to reestablish vegetation as soon as possible. This is a process that we undertook at the Pisano pit in our crush in, I want to say 2014-ish, with great success. The sooner we can get vegetation growing back on some of these hills where the topsoil depths aren't really great for that, the better. Just to get to one last thing here. In the tender, we aren't 100% sure how much gravel's there. We can see on the ground what the pile looks like, and we can assume. But there are clay seams. There's reject, and there's things that we aren't able to crush. So we estimated if it was all crushable, we could get about 120 or 130,000 cubic meters of gravel out of there. But we didn't want to tender out that amount, so we tendered at a lower value. We tendered out 80,000 cubes of gravel, but the intent was clearly advertised in the request for tender that we were going to extract as much as possible, up to 140,000 cubic meters of gravel. So all bidders were aware of that and were able to bid accordingly and fairly on that. And what my motion is requesting is just allowing that administration extract as much gravel as we can out of that pit in the month of June, above and beyond the 80,000 cubic meters. So as you can see, we got really good pricing on gravel crushing and earth moving. Very good. We've seen and we were expecting prices probably 35 to 45% higher than we were receiving kind of in those unit prices. So we're in a position that we should get as much of that gravel out of there as we can, hopefully all of it. As you can see, the Smith Trucking bid is just about 600,000. You can see if we were to get 150,000 cubes out of that pit, it would turn into 1.2 million. I'm requesting a little bit of money to make sure the gravel we're producing is meeting the specifications that we need it for its intended use. And we have budget allocated in 2023 in the amount of 2 million. So we are going to be within budget, and we'd like to get all that gravel out of there. I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Lynette, please go ahead.
Are you thinking this is going to be the final crush out of that pit? Nearby landowner was wondering.
I spoke to some nearby landowners, and we are expecting that this will exhaust the available resource in the current pit. Part of our gravel resource exploration project is obviously looking in areas where gravel is prevalent historically, and looking in and around and adjacent to those locations. So short answer is yes, in the existing pit, we plan to crush out the rest of the material that we can.
Thank you. Any other questions? Holly, please.
That gravel study, was there ever a result on it?
The results are forthcoming. We're actually out digging right now. The contractor is out with backhoe testing here for the next 10 days in various areas throughout the county. So we don't have results yet, but we're expecting to start analyzing what those sieve results look like from those pits here really soon.
Go ahead,
Did you expect it to take this long? Because it's been a very long gravel study. Is this typical?
You know, I'm not sure how to answer that question because this is the first gravel study that I've been a part of. I guess I was really hoping we were going to wrap it up in the fall of 2022. We were hoping to get excavating. We were hoping to get digging. Obviously, entering into access agreements with landowners, it's no different than the rural water project. We make a plan and have an attempt to get things done in time, but until we can get those agreements, those access agreements signed off and everybody's happy with them, it can delay things. We opted not to go digging in the wintertime with a little backhoe out in the fields. Time is money, and you know, with frost in the ground, it would have made it kind of out of the scope of what was requested from the consultant. So we're here in the spring and definitely going to get it wrapped up in quick order.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, thanks, Jeff. Do we have a motion? We have a request for a decision with regard to the, Neil, please.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to award that tender to Smith Trucking.
As per the recommendation?
As per Jeff's recommendation.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Any further questions or discussion? Call for the question. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Mark. We are down to post-agenda items, which I don't think there are any. Dan, please.
Coming up out of the STARS presentation, I'd like to talk about that one. I don't know if that's a post-agenda item or if we were to want to make a motion, would now be the right time to do something for that.
At your wish, we can talk about it now or put it to another meeting, whichever is your preference. If you want to, I mean, it's fresh on our minds, I guess. Go ahead.
When I advocated to increase our funding for Halo, one of the questions asked was, well, are you going to do the same for STARS? And my response was, if they come looking for money, yeah, I would. I do think we need to talk to some of the other municipalities and get them on board, because they're just as affected by this as we are. So anyways, yeah, trying to figure out where to take it. If they're asking for 25,000, I mean, definitely I'm okay with that. But yeah, struggling with where to take it. So I think the easiest way to do it is just put it out there and see what everybody else thinks. But I'll make a motion that we change our standing motion of STARS funding from $2 per capita, and we take it up to a fixed amount annually to match what we donate for Halo. That's my motion to proceed.
Which was $50,000, $100,000. Okay. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Ellen, and then.
I understood that they were asking for 25,000. So currently, Matt, I'm just curious, if it was $2 per capita, it's probably about 15,000, roughly.
Yeah, you'll see in the payment register, we just released payment of, I think, $15,048 to STARS for this year's budgeted allocation.
Okay. Kelly, and then Neil.
Well, I didn't have my hand up, but I kind of reacted to the motion.
Oh, okay.
I think you're reading my thoughts. I totally appreciate where you're going. I do think it's a bit generous. We're dealing with two different animals, and if that's one thing I've learned over the years, that is the truth. When we're talking Halo and STARS, we're talking a small mom and pop operation on the east side, and we're talking a 3-province corporation in head office in Calgary. I think Councillor Short, that we're jumping the gun a little bit. I do appreciate and know that our residents need to be covered by ambulance service throughout the whole county of Newell. I would like to ask if you would amend your motion to be dropped down to the ask level of 25,000.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion to take down to the 25,000.
Okay, Neil, thank you.
I was going to bring that up because, I mean, last year we stepped up and went from a couple $1,000 to $100,000, which was fantastic. We talked about the STARS, but we're getting zero support from the town, Dutchess, Bizano, the other communities. So if we take this to 25, we're packing the whole county on our backs. And I'd be looking to convince the town, hopefully, that they have to maybe do their share before we just keep funding. Like 125 a year. What is that, real quick, Matt, in your head, divide by 7,500?
I refuse to do math in my head, but I do have a calculator here. If you want to do per capita, you're right around.
It's close to $20.
16 2/3.
Yeah. So I'm not in favor of going any higher than 25, but.
Okay, and that's the motion the amended motion that we have on the floor. Greg, please.
Yeah, and I'm for the 25 also, but I'm just wondering if
if this may be something that joint services could do in their portfolio, because we do work with the other municipalities and City of Brooks, and we have a budget. It may be an increase to our joint services budget, but it might be something within that portfolio. I don't know. And then it's coming out of both Brooks and the county coffers. So
yeah, and recognizing that the other three municipalities, Rosemary, Dutchess, and Bassano, don't contribute financially at this point. Yeah. Who's next? Neil?
Yeah, I'm not sure joint services is the total way to go. We're already in on our half of the joint. We need the other, I think our time's better spent working with the town, working with Dutchess, working with everybody else to get their funding to kind of match the area that we're at. We're only 7,500 people too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion on the floor for $25,000 to STARS. I'd also remind us that I think part of the driver with the Halo contribution last year, and it was to bring the province on board in a stronger way, and that was, together with others, I think that was somewhat successful. So that's just some context. Greg?
I think as far as joint services go, I think we could be an advocate for STARS at that table, rather than it being a budget line.
Yeah, I think that's a good concept. Matt, please.
Then just for clarity for administration, is this motion inclusive of the 2023 calendar year?
It would be for the next year's budget.
Okay, so a budgeted item, guidance for the next budget round. Okay, that's a good point. Everybody understands that. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Opposed, please. That is still carried. Thank you. Okay, any other post-agenda items? Seeing none, there are a number of information items listed for us there. Unless there's comments or clarification, we will just note that they're there. But questions, go ahead, Lynette, please.
In the payment register, I saw that there was an electric vehicle course paid to the county of 40 Mile. Who took an electric vehicle course, and was that a firefighting thing, or I'm just curious?
Just give me a minute here while my computer scrolls through a page. Yeah, so that would be fire services training, electric vehicle extrication course. So where not to cut when you're extracting somebody from a EV vehicle, right?
How to extract without a shock, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, and there were 7 participants in that course.
And Kelly, go ahead, please.
Matt, what do we have out at Lake Newell Resort that we pay Dinosaur Gas Co-op utility for? So it's a heated building of some sort.
Yeah, lift station is what comes to mind.
So that's our water pumping system.
Lift stations for the other stuff. Yeah, once the water's gone through your house and been added to.
Oh, the chunky stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We do not want that to stop moving.
Yeah, any other questions? Seeing none, I think we're to the in camera session, which we will go to now. We made it just after 2 o'clock. Yes, we have in camera. Motion to go in camera, please. Greg, all in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you.